I am not a Piscean king in hiding, and welcome back to After the Flash 6. I have had a sudden stroke of inspiration to actually finish this rather than wait months between every entry, because I enjoy doing this, and I don't want to keep making videos about Roblox. I did say I'd do 7 last time, but that depends on how I'm feeling. I don't know 7 nearly as well as 6, and also I don't really want to upload any more Roblox videos to my channel. But it's fun going through these memory lane builds, especially since they're just really good builds. Anyway, today, just north of Southside, we are at Fort Wilmington, a former, a pre-war prison that was later used by the Civilian Defense Front, one of the main factions of the first 5 After the Flashes. They used this as a primary base and whatnot, presumably during their scuffles with the USCPF, which was the other faction. If you remember from the previous games, the CDF were usually shown as the good guys. They were the owners of all the towns and whatnot. They built it and they housed the most civilians, which makes sense for the name. Although, and they were always at odds with the USCPF, which was a more US government-oriented group. So it makes sense that the CDF would later turn into the People's Republic of Tidewater, which is, if I remember correctly, a Brazil-backed, shattering Brazil-backed. I always find that part funny. Shattering of the United States into a civil war between the People's Republic of Tidewater and the United States of America, which is just north over the bridge. One little detail that I noticed at the end of when I was exploring this place is that you can kind of tell what text was added later, because the older text says Civilian Defense Front, Restricted Area, Deadly Force is authorized, and it's in a different font, while Fort Wilmington, People's Republic of Tidewater, is in another font. And I take this to mean that it was actually added a little later, which is a cool detail, if intentional, and I like the idea of it. Anyway, this is the South. This is the People's Republic of Tidewater's primary little military base, although it's probably specifically in this area, considering I assume the PRT is quite large, actually. It's a fairly small little base. This shouldn't be that long an episode, though I do plan on covering a few little buildings I found on the outskirts, if I can remember where they actually are. So this place has plenty of tanks, military equipment such as artillery cannons and whatnot. I gotta turn on all the lights, otherwise my desire for completion will not be fulfilled. Although not all the lights work. I am so sorry, that was the sun. So our first stop here, just a brief little stop, is the Lookout Tower, which has a variety of floors, all with different things in them, like shelves, bags. This is the actual Lookout Tower with a chair. It's not really looking out on much, considering it's mostly trees. This is a very wooded area. In the distance, see there? I wonder if I can see the mysterious tree lookout tower from here. It does not look like it. Okay. Got a telescope that I unfortunately cannot interact with. It's always cool when games let you interact with them, but this one does not. Not that it needs to. So that was the first stop, Lookout Tower. Just a brief little, there's a little tent. It's a large military transport. Another tent. And in we go. This was the main prison. It's already turning night. This game has the shortest day-night cycle. This is what was the main prison building, but is now instead the barracks. Used to be a computer screen right there. I will go to the right first, because this way loops around and it will be our shortest path. So yes, this was a prison, which is why these huge fortified doors are here. This is the main mess hall, presumably used now as a mess hall as well, though of course it would be the cafeteria of the time. Here's a little janitor's closet. But yeah, this is the main mess hall of the fort, I presume. You should probably clean those off, replace them. It's not like this place doesn't have access to manufacturing. I like that fact. This game takes place in a time where they have access to manufacturing. Anywho, this is the other side of here, so this is where you would go to reach the main barracks. That's just a really roundabout way to the mess hall. Although it's probably faster, actually. If you're going from outside directly to the mess hall, you'd go there. Anywho, at the time, this is the guards' break room, although this is probably just a relaxation room in this point in time, with a very clean microwave. Through this door is the kitchen, which presumably is still functional. I think these are supposed to turn red, this thing right here, the fryer, but it's a little scuffed. Yep, this is the kitchen. It's a nice kitchen. Enough to serve military men, probably. I don't know. I don't know what people in this world eat. That's actually not something that comes up very often. Anyway, through here would be the downstairs prison hall, otherwise known as some really demoralizing barracks. Oh god. Also, again, very dangerous bunk beds. They could use, like, a ladder and maybe a railing. But, you know, in a game like this, they do their job. All these are generally the same. I presume that this doesn't work, because this is ancient pre-war plumbing and whatnot. Although, I imagine they would have connected their plumbing to the pre-war plumbing. That doesn't sound very healthy, though. It's probably very rusty down there. Not that I would know, and not that I don't know how much this game has been thought of. Little details like that would be cool if there was an in-world thought of that, like a development thought of would they have connected stuff to pre-war sewer systems and whatnot. There is a pre-war sewer system in this world, very large and expansive, and will be the last thing I cover. All right, this is the courtyard. This is the, of course, every courtyard has to have a giant electrical, dangerous, I don't know why this is in the middle of a courtyard, unless they want to give prisoners the easy way out. Yep, this is the courtyard. Here's this is just an easy way in. Kind of goofy that, I'm assuming it would be locked in world, like, locked both for the prison, obviously, and for the, and as the military. Let's go back inside. So yeah, this is the barracks. Again, very demoralizing. I mean, I guess it depends. I don't imagine most barracks are pleasant. I've never been in a barracks myself, but I've seen movies and stuff, and they tend to all be in it. So I guess this is actually a step up. Most movie barracks, at the very least, no one has their own rooms, and even if you're bunking with someone, you know, it's generally still one room. Still, though, you are in a prison. You are literally in a prison. So that can't be pleasant. That can't be pleasant to wake up and you're in a prison. Even if you're someone serving your country, it's like, damn, I'm in a prison. Here's a computer, some server racks. I don't know if anyone actually sleeps over here, because this feels like something that a soldier might trip on and break. I've seen the jokes. This one is kind of goofy, because they phased it into the pillar. Really good. It's funny seeing these because it's like, oh, it makes you wonder how much this was copy pasted. I got some filing cabinets in here. So yeah, this is a full barracks. These are maintained The beds are probably okay at best. And there's plenty. I should probably count how many people can be hosted at this base. That's quite a few. Quite a few. Here's our resident mysterious translucent cube. As you do. Every prison needs one of those. As a holdover for the old days. Yep, this is the barracks. This is the barracks of this base. I always love this. This is one of my favorite parts of games, of settings like this. It's repurposing of old structures. A prison is already fairly fortified. It came with the beds, and the predecessors to the PRT, the CDF, they used this as their main base of operations, and they built on top of it. They didn't only use old buildings like this one. If we go clockwise here, I mean, this one is also an older part of the prison. I assume at the time this little building was a bit of solitary confinement. But now, judging by the lore little bits that I have access to, if I press in, I can show you the locations and whatnot. Not that I'm going to read these out loud, but going down to Fort Wilmington, it says that there is high-rank barracks, and I couldn't find anything else, so I assume these are the high-rank barracks, which makes sense. There's a single bed. This one even has a potted plant, which again I can click on, and I'm not sure why. So yeah, these are presumably the high-rank barracks. A little nicer, I guess. Got bulletin boards. So the lights don't work in there. They got the power working in here, but not quite in here. Oh, moon's rocketing over the horizon. And here, it's just a little storage shed. This one's slightly annoying because these aren't actually on, even if they are glowing, so I have to click them again to turn them on to light it up, which is really odd. I presume this was built later on. Anyway, for the main building of the compound, this is High Command. Well, maybe not High Command, it's probably a higher command out there. It's not as though Southside is the capital. I assume that would be Atlanta, Georgia, even. So this is the main command building. As you can tell, this was constructed more recently. There's wooden doors and stuff. Offices, vending machines that may or may not work. Who the heck knows? Got to turn on all the lights. Yep, offices. Shelving. I like how they have a dedicated shelf model. It always has those same things. Everyone's got to have their whiskey. Here's the front desk. Through here is a meeting room with open windows of this military. That seems like a great place to have open windows. Well, they're not open, but just windows. Here is the med bay. 2 beds. They're not all too prepared. There wasn't like a doctor's office in Southside, if I remember. There wasn't, I don't believe. So, this is like the only one in this region. There's no door, so everyone can be sure that they know what happens when you get shot. It hurts. Here is a game room with a presumably working arcade, at least in universe working. There is no pool sticks, though I presume they're probably kept in the cabinets. It's not like the bar in Southside where they are very nicely on the wall, unless I'm just tricking myself into believing that. Here is, I guess, another mess hall kind of room. It's not much mess hall. No, there's no kitchen. This is just the break room. I don't know what to call this. Here's a storage room. Some very shiny shelvings. And some boxes full of rectangles. Probably magazines for guns, really. Here we have the ultimate office. This guy has a radio tower. I assume that's what it is. Several server racks. And just a dramatic build-up. And he's not even facing it. This is a very empty room when you look at it. There's just one dude's chair. And anyone can just approach him from behind. I hope he's not paranoid. Through here is the roof access. He's a large empty room with some tables and a trash can, because you gotta have every room have some furniture at least. You can't. There's no such thing as empty rooms. And this is the roof, solar power, which makes sense. Renewable, even, and good for a singular building. Continuing to move clockwise. So, yeah, that's high command. Wonder what happened here, because this is a more recent construction. I don't know if it was built by the CDF, so it might have been just destroyed over time. Here are the bathrooms. That's showers that work, even. Gotta love it, interactivity. I can't stick in here too long. There's no designation for men's and women's, so it might just be shared. Or it's unisex. I don't know. There's just no signs. There's no designation, so I don't know. Who knows the politics of the year? I forget what year this game takes place in. The year 2115. Here is... Oh god, I'm pressing all the wrong buttons. This is an auto repair shop. I know what it is, but the word kept escaping. Just an auto repair shop. You know, to repair your autos. And that's it. That's all for Wilmington. That's fairly small. Fairly compact. I rather like it. It does the job. There's some plumbing over here. There are two other spots that I'm going to show off. Did I shut the front? Yeah, whatever. That are unrelated, though I believe they are the last little bits of the south side of the river. I don't remember exactly where they are, but I believe if I trace the walls over here, because where I want to go is by the... Ah, yeah, I see it. Okay. So yeah, the last two little bits that I have found, there's probably some more little tidbits, and there is an entire sewer system, is these buildings right here. These two buildings. These two pre-war businesses. Ancient businesses. This one was a gas station. And someone has taken residence in here. It's like a stone's throw from the military base. Someone lives here. Open door. No protection. They don't even, like, drag one of these shelves for a tougher way in. No, they just live here. They're probably working alongside. They probably are familiar with the folks over here. So we have this gas station, and then just a little bit away we have Sammy's Car Wash, 99. The newspaper dispenser right here. There is an interior. You just have to go to the side. They just blocked up the front door. And here is another place that people have taken residence. You have two beds, some chairs, and a fire pit with no smoke escape. I really hope they don't light this thing very often. Otherwise, this is a very short-lived shelter. Anywho, that's all of Southside, and that's where I will be ending this video. Next, I'll end this video with just one little rope climb, just to show that it exists. Because you have a light right here. It's raining, and next time, I would love to show you what we'll have next, but it's really foggy. We will be traveling across the bridge, past the halfway point, and explore the southernmost tip of the United States of America. That'll be a good time. There's a lot to explore over there. It's not as popular, funnily enough. Speedway. It's not as that side's not as popular, funnily enough, for role-playing purposes. Everyone loved Southside, but there's an entirely perfectly serviceable little village, way that way. Alas, no one really interacted with it. Like, I only saw a handful of people. I guess most people just didn't know it existed. Anyway, if anyone's watching this, thank you. Thank you for sticking to the end. I'll have the next one up shortly because I'm enjoying myself. And as always, have a good rest of your day. Thank you. Goodbye.